DirtTrax is sponsored by Can-Am, the ride says it all. Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. Hatfield-McCoy Trails, where hundreds of miles of off-road adventure await you today. And by Yamaha, conquer outdoors.
This season started with a really interesting and exciting story with some friends of ours from the ATV community, the guys from the Wheeler Nation crew. As I sat down to plan out this story, I just couldn't think of a better group of guys to bring along with me on a great adventure for our last episode of the season.
Started the year with DirtTrax very early on in the ATV season up in West Virginia, and we're very happy to find out that DirtTrax wanted us back to cap off the season. I was really excited because we were looking at the forecast and they were calling for anything and everything, and that just adds to the complete adventure of ATV.
When DirtTrax contacted me to go on this trip, I was super excited. I mean, the trip to West Virginia was incredible, so I could only imagine it would be comparable to that.
My idea for this story was sort of twofold. We have a couple brand new Honda Pioneer 4s that I really wanted to put through their paces. And I also wanted to go on a bit of an epic adventure. I wanted to actually do a trip where I had to take everything that I needed for the trip along with me.
So for this ride, Luke described to us that we put on a lot of miles. We'd be carrying our gear with us. And back home, we do a lot of short loop rides where it's about 20, 30 kilometers. And if we have an issue or a breakdown, we can usually get towed out, a buddy help out, fix it on the trail. But here we're pretty much going from sun up to sundown riding.
So we loaded up the Pioneers with all of our gear. We had food, we had clothes and all the stuff we would need for an overnight trip. We knew there was going to be a mix of trails. We knew there was going to be technical, fast, all different types of trails and situations, and we just decided to see how far can we get and can we make it. For this last trip, I decided to take the crew somewhere I haven't been in a long time, up to the Sudbury, Ontario area, particularly to Sportsman's Lodge.
We got told we were going to Sudbury. I was really stoked because it's all, classic Canada, Canadian Shield, into some mud, river crossings, water, you name it, you got it here.
I've ridden in the Sudbury area dozens of times, on snowmobiles in particular, and only a few times on ATVs. I've ridden to the Sportsman's Lodge and ridden from the Sportsman's Lodge on snowmobiles more times than I can count. I was really looking forward to exploring this area without the snow and finding what types of stuff is out in the woods around here. What are we going to discover and what challenges are we going to face? But this area is kind of wild, and who knows what we're going to come upon out here.
First section was classic Sudbury. We rode along a trail that was right beside a large swamp at first. The trail was almost reminded me of my hunting camp type trails. We're a little wider, a little less technical, not into any big deep valleys or gullies or anything, which allowed you to see a lot of the scenery, which is what this place is all about.
There was some pretty wet sections, there was rocky sections, sandy sections. We really got into everything and got to see what these Pioneers would do. We had one trail that was right along the edge of a bog, that perfect moose spot where you just expected to see an animal.
We were going along this trail and eventually we ended up at a rail bed. The tracks weren't there anymore, and I remember that from some past riding I've done before. And I remember it led to a huge bridge. And well, we ended up there, thankfully. And it's absolutely scary to go across. And it's something every ATVer, if you're in the area, you gotta do it once, because the view is spectacular.
I'd heard about this old cabin in the woods just off of the rail bed, and it was kind of hard to find. It was obscure. It was kind of just an idea. I'd overheard somebody say that this existed. So once we hit the rail bed, I thought, well, we must be close, so let's see if we can find this place. This place is pretty wild. I don't know if we should walk in there or not.
Oh, check her out.
It's gonna come down on your head.
I wonder if it's open.
Sturdy. It's sturdy, I tell you. That's rustic.
Oh yeah, this is old school.
Wild in here, man.
What's this here? Oh.
We were starving by this point. It had been a long morning. We were hungry and we were just a little bit cold, so Luke and Steve managed to whittle up some wood and get a fire going. Best thing I've smelled all day. A fire. It means food's coming.
Are you going teepee or log cabin?
Let's go log cabin, buddy. You got her. You're going teepee?
I think we're going
Let's
teepee.
do teepee.
You know, we threw back a few bun pups and told some stories and spent some time there, and it was really a nice relaxing break in the middle of the day. We got full, we got warm, and traveled on our way. After lunch, our goal was strictly to make it to Sportsman's Lodge, and we had a map. We knew where we were headed, but the trails became much more technical. It seemed like the only way to get there was the tough route.
With all the rain and snow apparently they've had in the area, it made for some really good riding, testing out that Honda in some mud, some water, lots of rocks obviously because we're in Sudbury. Once we got onto real trails that I think that this is built for, the segment this ATV is built for, it started to shine.
So we were finding ourselves in some situations that were really pushing the vehicles we were riding to their limits. And I was very pleased to see the Hondas fully capable of handling any situation we got into.
The Pioneer was a great choice for this adventure. It had plenty of room for all our gear, great mud coverage. We came through the muddiest sections and ended up with nothing on us. You know, you kind of forget how much gear you're packing in on those Hondas because they carry the weight so well.
There's two reasons I wanted to take Honda Pioneers on this trip. First, I know they're reliable, but we also had a lot of gear to carry, so we needed a big cargo capacity and lots of room to tie stuff down, and the Pioneer fit that bill perfectly. We finally emerged onto a decent sized road. We basically just put the pedal to the metal and ran those Pioneers as fast as they would go and pulled into Sportsman's Lodge exactly as expected. It was a little later than we thought, but it was a welcoming sight. I've stayed at the Sportsman's Lodge a few times in the past, some on ATVs, some on snowmobiles, and I love this place because it's a really kind of cottagey, down-home vibe. It's warm, it's inviting. It's just the perfect place for an ATVer, for guys like us to relax. You just feel at home. We woke up in the morning and it was cold. There was ice on all the Pioneers. It was tough to convince yourself that we're gonna sit down in these things and go for another ride, but we loaded up our gear, strapped it all in nice and tight, and got back out on the trail. We had a goal for this day. While we were hanging around the Sportsman's, we heard this story of an abandoned prison in the woods.
Luke told us that he had heard of an abandoned prison somewhere in the middle of the woods and that he wanted to find it.
Whether or not that's true, we're gonna find out. So we got onto some old fire roads, and I'll tell you, the pace got a little bit faster and faster and faster.
If you put something like an abandoned prison in front of me, that's pretty exciting. I want to get there. Being able to ride at this exciting pace and have this much fun really proved that this is a very versatile vehicle and that you can have fun with it. It's made for work, but it can be played with as well.
We thought we were heading in the right direction, and it turned out we were, because you just come around this corner and out of nowhere, as if it's in the middle of nowhere, there's this massive building.
It was just this huge industrial looking building with graffiti all over it. The windows were smashed out of it. We knew what it was. It was the prison, and it kind of gave us an eerie feeling.
We were a long way from anything, from any civilization, from any trail, from anything at all. And there's a gigantic prison sitting out there in the middle of the woods. My first reaction was, I don't know if I want to go any closer to this. This is spooky. But then my next reaction was, we got to go inside that thing and check it out. This is awesome.
God. This is wild.
Look at this.
Oh yeah.
This would all be offices right here, right?
Yeah, this would be like the main entrance, I would think. That's where you check in right there.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder how much of this fell apart on its own and how much was smashed.
Yeah,
Obviously
that's-
a lot
yeah.
was smashed, right?
Big time.
You know,
Look at this. There's
Oh, the cells.
The cells right here.
Yeah, those are the beds.
That's
Those are
the old mattresses, right?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
They're
them.
like
for sure.
in almost every cell too.
Uh-oh, fellas.
Don't drop the cell.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
This guy had the worst cell ever.
That guy had, yeah, that guy didn't sleep at night. Yeah. Soap, dishes.
We, as a group, sort of pieced together the lives of these guys, and we would talk about where we were in the prison and what likely went on there and what it was for, and tried to figure out all the different areas and what they were for and what room we were in, and it became this kind of contest, but also this historical recreation in our own minds of what this place was 60 years ago.
When you come into prison and you need your prison shoes,
Prison shoes and your guard.
Right.
This is
right.
where
this would be where they
This is where they
grab their
grab their
stuff.
stuff and they store all the clothes.
Yeah, that's dark.
How's everybody feeling about that?
Not much natural light down here.
I wonder if down here maybe was like,
Or there's
Like,
some sort of electrical or controls for the heating and stuff.
like electrolyzed
Probably some controls they don't want people to touch.
This is without a doubt the creepiest place I have ever been in my whole life. This is a closet, still got the closet rod in it.
Does it?
Yep.
There's another closet right here.
This
These
must
are
be-
probably the These are
living
probably the guys, the warden or the guards sleeping room.
So this is main level, right?
Yeah.
When we got into it, we all kind of started getting in the same mind frame of trying to figure out where people would be staying, as to the warden, the people that work there, the guards, the inmates.
We kind of imagined what it would be like, where your first stop would be. We'd pass the cells and wonder, what did the guy do that was sleeping on this mattress?
We even went so far as to walk all the way around the building outside and just explore every square inch of this property to see and to feel and to get an idea for what this place was all about, and really to piece together in our own minds what life was like in this place.
Having a destination to go to, such as this prison or the caverns down in West Virginia, just adds to the riding experience. We go out riding all the time and have a great time doing that, but having a destination definitely adds to it.
Overall, this trip was the perfect way to end our season. We're ending on a high note. We're ending with a great adventure. I get to end my season spending time with some people that I consider to be close friends now. I really enjoy riding with.
Well, that's what ATVing is all about. You meet somebody for the first time, you have a common interest, and then before you know it, it grows into a friendship, and that's what's happened here.
Whether we start and end next season with Luke and Steve or the Wheeler Nation crew, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. What I do know is that we're going to get into more trouble and more adventures, and we're going to experience more stuff together in the future. That's a guarantee.
Today I'm here in beautiful Gateway, Colorado to find out what Arctic Cat has in store for the 2014 Wildcat line. And let me tell you, it is big news. But before I tell you the biggest news, let's talk with Mark Esla from Arctic Cat about the all-new Wildcat X Limited.
Well, the all-new Wildcat X Limited is a really cool product for Arctic Cat. We took the Wildcat X that you all know with the 17 inches of front suspension travel, industry-leading 18 inches of rear travel, and then the X-powered engine, the painted panels, the tilt steering, electric power steering, the stuff you find on the X. And then we came out with the X Limited. What's the X Limited? We did a bunch of add-on features yet. What we've done is we've went to a Elka Stage 5 shock. We've went to a beadlock wheel with a new ITP Blackwater Evolution tire, a full molded one-piece roof, as well as the two-tone seats, and then full aluminum doors, as well as the front and rear bumpers you find on the X.
Now the Limited is not simply just a bunch of cool factory installed options. While they are cool looking and they are factory installed, ultimately all of the options included are functional at their core.
So why Arctic Cat did the X Limited package we've talked about is we wanted to bring more value to our customer. If our customers were going to go out and do the accessories retail that we've put on the X Limited package, it's going to run them roughly about $6,000. And you're going to get that full upgrade for about $2,000 versus an X.
The Wildcat has been an incredibly good brand for Arctic Cat, and up to this point, every Wildcat that we have tested has delivered on all fronts that it claims to. But there's one common thread between all of the Wildcats we've had to date, and that is they're all extremely wide.
There was a big market that we were missing, and our customers asked us for that, and that's riding on the trails like we have in Minnesota. We have more miles of trail in Minnesota than we have interstate miles, and then comes the Wildcat Trail that we're here to talk about today.
Polaris has had a complete monopoly on the 50-inch wide market to date, and when we go to places like Hatfield-McCoy or Brimstone Recreation, quite literally, there's 10 50-inch wide razors for every other side-by-side that we see.
The trail market is a big deal for Arctic Cat. It's a big deal for the off-road enthusiast. And we define that trail market as being less than 50 inches as well as less than 1,000 pounds dry weight. So to capture that market, first and foremost, you got to be less than 50 inches wide and you got to be less than 1,000 pounds. But that's just the start of the whole product. Then you've got to have the best suspension, you've got to have industry-leading horsepower, you've got to have the superior ride and handling that Arctic Cat's known for, and then you have something.
The Wildcat Trail is Arctic Cat's answer to the 50-inch wide market, and it is chock full of new, innovative, best-in-class features that are going to make it very hard to ignore on the dealership floor, but also out on the trails.
The new Wildcat Trail has a lot of new features, and it has a lot of features you find on its big brother, the big Wildcat. The Wildcat, as you know it, is big on suspension, big on the ride-in feel. You feel part of the vehicle. We took that same culture and brought that down to the Wildcat Trail. So you sit lower in the vehicle, you have industry-leading suspension travel, 10 inches up front, 10.5 in the rear, coupled with a gas-charged Fox shock. as well as there's new tires developed with it to help that ride and handling with Carlisle. We've done that, as well as we developed an all-new inline twin engine with industry-leading horsepower of 60 plus. You take that and couple that with the team rapid response clutches you also find on the big Wildcat, you've got quite a complete package.
The power plant in the Wildcat Trail is a totally new, completely purpose-built 700cc parallel twin with a totally new and very compact transaxle. Now, while the displacement numbers at 700 cc's are important to remember, what's more important is the 60 plus horsepower this baby's pumping out, and it is class leading. The Wildcat Trail is also going to be offered in an XT package, which features cool aluminum rims, color-matched seat and suspension components, as well as automotive-style paint. For 2014, the Wildcat has gone 50 inches, and after spending some time in the seat today, I have to tell you, this takes 50-inch wide riding to a whole new level.
DirtTrax Television has been sponsored by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. Can-Am, the ride says it all. MBRP Performance Exhaust, making power with MBRP. And by Arctic Cat, share our passion.